Hello and welcome to Almost 30 Podcasts.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Lindsay and Krista. We're happy you're here. Thanks for being our friends.
Just waved at you on YouTube. Greetings. We're so glad you're here. You don't need to be 30 or anywhere near it to listen. We started this to support ourselves in our evolution and our journey in life. And over the years, it's really grown to be a support system for us and our community. And we're grateful that you chose us as your podcast of choice today. You are in for a treat.
Yeah. And I think with this conversation and most of our conversations, I think the best way to approach is just like with an open mind, an open heart, and take what lands and leave what doesn't.
hmm
You
You
know,
want to get wild, you want to get woo woo, you want to get out there, we got you.
we got you. Today, we're talking to Taylor Paige of Angels and Amethyst. So, we're going in on angels, connecting with our angels, communicating with angels, really honing our intuitive gifts. And I'm so glad, and I didn't know this going into the conversation, that she had just in the last handful of years gone through her Saturn return. And
Mhm.
it was like just so potent. And I feel like a lot of you out there are also going through your Saturn return, which is just an astrology's way of describing this time when just a lot of stuff comes up
Yes.
where you're meant to really reckon with what's not working and get pretty serious about it and
Mhm.
hopefully create a lot more joy and happiness in the wake.
It's funny how after your Saturn return, you can laugh at it, but during you're like, "What the hell?"
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we were laughing with her, talking about her Saturn return because it was one of those things where she got sick, and then she had to really start listening to her intuition, kind of changed her whole life, um, and started to do readings, but it's like during it, you're like, "What is going on?"
It's like everything. And I remember this very distinctly in my teen years where it's like, this is permanent.
Oh, yeah.
This is
You
forever.
think when you're I think about this all the time. When I have children, people always without kids are always like, "When I have kids," but I'm gonna expose them to so much more because when you're in high school, you're like, "This is the world."
I know.
You have such a myopic view of your life and your existence, and it's like, "No, no. It's
I know.
only
I wonder if that's like it. I guess it is
it's probably
partly.
brain developmental."
Yeah, that
Uh-huh.
too.
To keep you safe, maybe you can
That's
only
true.
understand or contextualize things around you, and I think the globalism has really increased, but yeah, so I met Taylor at, Lacey Phillips of To Be Magnetic. So she was at her baby shower, and she's been at a lot of her events, and I got a reading, and I am very particular, as you all should be. Everyone should be very particular about who does their readings, and I was really blown away. I felt like it was completely accurate. I felt like it was really powerful. It was really positive, and not in like a bypassy way, but that's what I really love about her is it feels very light. It feels playful. It feels fun. It feels very sovereign. It
Mhm.
doesn't ever feel sticky or yucky or fearful. And I
Yes.
think that's a really important component of readers and people that do readings that they either remain neutral or keep it more light.
Yeah, I've been talking to a lot of friends lately for some reason. It's just kind of come up where there is this curiosity about getting, quote, a reading of some sort, but there's that fear of the predictive nature. And not all readings are like that. And actually, I find the most powerful ones are not. And like really put the power back in your hands, so to speak. And that we talked a bit about that, about just the essence and the quality and the, like, energetic signature and of an angel is not predictive.
Yes. Yes. So we all have our angels and guides that are available to us, that are working with us and sending us messages that you can connect with. And in this interview with her, we talk a lot about that. So she is an internationally recognized intuitive. She's worked with celebrities. She's an angel reader, spiritual teacher, and she's the owner of Angels and Amethyst, where she has angelic and birth chart readings. And she's completely self taught. So it's incredible with this too, because so many of you I know want to tap into your intuition and your guides and really even want to make it a career. So we talked about how she made this passion her own full-time
Mhm.
business.
Mhm. She also went into just how her readings work and how each day she is really energetically setting herself up to be in connection with her angels, with her guides. And I thought it was so simple yet powerful. And I feel like it's one of those things you're going to listen to and be like, I know how powerful that is when I do it. And so just creating that everyday ritual, I think is compounding over time, very powerful.
Yeah, so we talked about her rock bottom, her Saturn return, which really was her spiritual awakening. We talked about her discovering of her gifts and how angel readings work. We talked about how she turned her business, her beautiful angel reading, into a full time business, and then how you can connect with your guides and angels. And then lastly, how to discern if it's a guide or angel or if it's something else that's coming in to give you a message.
Mhm. Yeah, that was really interesting. It was interesting to hear both of your shared experiences of
Hmm.
having just entities
Hmm.
that you didn't know what they were. And I feel like a lot of people will relate.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, I Yeah, I have something else. I feel like I had something recently where when I was in Ibiza, I was
Hmm.
about to be abducted.
Fun.
Welcome to the show, everybody. And I was like, no. And I called on my angels to protect me. And I'm like, no, I need to let myself be abducted.
Totally. So you can talk about it in an intro to the podcast.
Exactly. So my ego can know that I've been abducted. But I really was like, God, Krista, you've got to let yourself
Mm,
be abducted. Because
mm.
it wasn't scary. I was just scared to be abducted.
Yeah, like a surrender moment.
Yeah, surrender your soul to the aliens to let them do with you what they will. But it very much happened when it was interesting
Was it
because
a loving energy? Did you feel?
yes, I was with, Jenna all week, and then the one night that I
Mhm.
had separated from her. I was away from her one night at Six Senses, and that was the one night it happened, and felt it happening. I was like, "Fuck, it's happening, here it is, it's happening." And then I felt my soul leaving my body,
Mhm.
and it was, like, almost gone, and I was like, "No." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." And then I called the angels back, and I called everybody. Oops.
Oop, angels.
Pizza's ready. No joke, our Daily Harvest pizza's ready. Um, but I had to call everybody. I called all my angels and all my guides, and the only thing that stopped it was Jesus Christ. I was like
As he
I
does.
went through the whole thing, I was like, "Jesus Christ, you gotta help me." And Jesus helped. But I need to let myself, but that's why, because it wasn't bad, I was just really scared.
Yeah.
Because I was scared I'll never come back.
Hmm.
I know. Could be kinda nice.
And
My body just rots
I
in
was
a
like, I'd
hotel
miss
room.
you, but
I know, honestly.
if you're happier.
I'd be off to greener pastures. We have alien episodes too. You can search Aliens Almost 30. We've talked a lot about that.
Yeah.
But we have tons of episodes on intuition and spirituality, connecting with yourself, connecting with your angels and guides. And we really like to explore a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
It's really interesting. It's really fun. I think a lot of people have different perspectives and experiences that we've gone through, and all of those are welcome here at Almost 30. So it's never too woo woo for us.
Never ever.
So you can find Taylor Paige on Instagram at angels underscore amethyst. And then her website is angelsandamethyst.com. She does readings. And then she also has a course that is available now. You can go to her Instagram and sign up for her course. It is all on dating and
Mhm.
leveraging your intuition and angelic connection in dating. And you can use
Yes.
code almost 30 and you'll get a discount.
Yeah, I'm excited for y'all. I know y'all are in that season of dating. If you are not subscribed to Almost 30, please make sure you do so. So all of our new episodes just hit that inbox and you're caught up. And leave a review. If you're called to leave a 5-star review, it means so much to Krista and I. We read every one of them, and it just really helps support us get on incredible guests and just, yeah, spread the message that we're all in this together,
Yeah.
truly.
We love you all so much. Almost30.com for more information about Lindsay and I, for all of our partner codes, for blog posts. We write amazing blog posts which expound upon some of the information we talk about in episodes. And then you can also find information about our membership, our community, which is so incredible and thriving, and then courses and programs if you're a podcaster.
Yes. Thank you for listening. We love you all, and we will see you on the other side.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
This morning, I had a record breaking amount of compliments on my skin when I went out for errands. I went to a workout, and this morning, I cleansed my skin and put on a serum from a brand that I'm so excited to share with you. Krista and I are in love with Sahajan. It's an incredible Ayurvedic based skincare line. They also have body and hair products, eye care, lip care, you name it. But I am obsessed with their products. It feels so good on my skin. My skin is incredibly happy. Let me talk to you about some of my favorites. So this morning, I used the cleansing oil, the essential cleansing oil. So this is a great way to just melt away any makeup, pollution, honestly, leaving behind the most glowy skin ever. In ancient India, actually, oils were used for centuries to clean skin without stripping away the essential moisture necessary for a healthy complexion. Have you ever washed your face and been like, wow, it just kind of stripped everything off? It's not great for our skin. So this is a blend of moringa, squalane, and rose oils, and it melts through even the most stubborn waterproof makeup. Daily Grime, I love it in the morning because it's really soft and gentle. So beautiful, smells amazing. And then I put on the Radiance Face Serum. Y'all, when I tell you this is what Radiance is, it truly brings out the most glowing aspects of my skin. So what I love about Sahajan is they go back to ancient texts in Ayurveda from 5,000 years ago, and they work with modern Ayurvedic doctors to formulate their serums, their formulations for cleansers, etc. But for this face serum, they use Triphala, a known adaptogen, Gotu kola, and hyaluronic acid. And this concentrated blend has been clinically proven to improve the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles as a treatment that will honestly leave your skin looking unreal. I need y'all to let me know, send me your selfies, okay? So this is the skincare line where Ayurveda meets modern science. And I love it. It is proven, it is scientific, and it is good for your skin and for your body. So if you'd like to try Sahajan, please, 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 I highly recommend, especially if you are looking for a skincare line that is clean and natural, okay? Go to sahajan.com. Let me spell it for you, SAHAJAN.com. Use the code almost30 for 20% off your first order. That's 20% off your first order when you go to sahajan.com, SAHAJAN.com, and you'll get 20% off with code almost30. So I am in the early stages of just being more mindful, more thoughtful about supplementing prenatally. So I am not pregnant yet, but I just want to make sure that my body is, set up for optimal growth of a human being. So I found this brand because I saw so many soon-to-be mamas that I know out there using this brand. It's called Needed. And this is an incredible company that I feel like y'all need to know about. They have incredible supplements, they have proteins, and they just really, really care. Through nutrient testing, they realized there were very, very significant nutrient deficiencies in soon-to-be moms and people who, before they conceived, and food alone wasn't meeting the needs of the mom and the baby. So through this process, they discovered the moms were deficient in omega-3 and other key nutrients for fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum well-being. So they dug into the research and they created an incredible line of supplements and products that really set a woman up for optimal nourishment. So I wanted to give you an example. I got the complete plan, which I really love. And I want to tell you what's in it. So in it is a prenatal multi. You can get powder or capsules. I got the capsules for this one, but they tested thousands of mamas everywhere, their nutrient levels. So they really got to the bottom of what is needed. And it includes 24 optimal vitamins and minerals that mamas and babies need. So you can take before, during, and after pregnancy and even beyond. It also comes with an omega-3. It's an easy to take vegan omega-3, DHA and EPA, choline, lutein, and zeaxanthin capsules. And it has a really, really pleasant taste. So sometimes the omega-3s are gross, but this is great. It also comes with a pre and probiotic and also comes with a collagen protein. So this is hydrolyzed and ethically sourced from the hides of grass-fed, pasture-raised, hormone-free bovines from New Zealand. Most women aren't meeting their protein needs during pregnancy and postpartum. Mamas need protein for blood sugar management, minimizing nausea, and growing baby cells and the placenta. It's an optimal form of so many things within the body. It is supports the joints of the mother, the pelvic floor tissue, the skin elasticity, and postpartum hair and healthy growth. So before, during, and after pregnancy, this is incredible. So I'm really excited for y'all to try Needed. If you are thinking about getting pregnant, if you are now currently pregnant or even postpartum, I absolutely love the brand and I'm loving taking these. I'm feeling super, super good. They are known for their complete plans for both men and women, by the way. And I want you to check it out. All right, go to thisisneeded.com. You're going to use the code almost30 for 30% off your first order. We rarely get that 30% off, and I need you to take advantage. Thisisneeded.com. Use the code almost30 at checkout for 30% off your first order. I recommend the complete plan. I'm here for any questions. DM me. And This Is Needed is also an incredible resource. So please reach out to them as well on Instagram. You can find them at Needed. So go to thisisneeded.com. Use the promo code almost30 for 30% off your first order.
You know what's interesting though is with doing a podcast and being recorded, you're talking and then you're hearing yourself, and there's like a processing of hearing yourself that's
Yeah.
happening. That's very interesting
Mm.
because yeah, it affects you.
Are you doing it right now?
Yes. I'm being affected currently. Oh my gosh. Well, we're so excited you're here. Guys, Taylor Paige of Angels and
Mhm.
Amethyst is here. I met you through our dear friend Lacey of To Be Magnetic Expanded podcast, and we were at her baby shower when I
Yeah.
first met you. And you were sitting in the little corner, and she was like, I have angel readings. You should get one. I'm like, perfect. And I think everybody says this, but I always say it because I feel this way. I'm very particular about my readings. I know right away, like and sometimes I've always felt like I'm more intuitive than the people, or also to the space that we're in. I feel like I sort of hear the same things because I'm doing it so much. So it doesn't
Mhm.
become interesting to me because I'm sort of so much in the space of medium, psychics, work, whatever, where they say things. I'm like, yeah, I've heard that before. And everything you said was just so true and so powerful. And I was like, wow, you are truly really gifted. I felt like it was spot on for everything in my life, but I did feel like what you brought through was so surprising. So I'm so grateful that I've had two readings by you, both at Lacey's events, and you've done a workshop with our membership, all on angels and intuition. And I'm excited to dig in more because I know our audience are people that are very curious about angels. They're very curious about their intuition. They're very curious about connecting further to their guides, to everyone that is supporting them on the other side, so we can have a juicy spiritual conversation today.
I love that. Yes, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
We're so excited. Before we jumped on, you started to talk about your Saturn return. We were like, wait, hold it, hold it. Let's press record. Because as you know, that's how we started this podcast during that time. And I'm always so curious to learn more about people's Saturn returns and how it's brought them to the place they are now. So can we start around there?
Yeah. So I started feeling like the hint of my Saturn return at 27. Saturn is such a slow moving planet that I feel like it's not the classic 2.5 years that maybe everyone talks about, but it starts bleeding and creeping and whispering to you a little bit sooner. So at 27, I just had this impulse to
Mm.
just sell everything in my studio and create a reading room area which was like really crazy. I was like a mad woman, like meeting people in alleys to like sell my couch at night. What could go wrong?
Wow.
So then like fast forward and I was already on this path, but then my like zenith of my Saturn return hit when I was 29. I got a crazy case of iritis in my left eye, and I literally thought I was gonna lose my eye. They're like, "We've never seen anything like this."
What is iritis?
It's basically inflammation inside the eye. So I had to
Whoa.
be literally in an eye patch, like bedridden. I was like, hashtag Saturn return. Am I
Wow.
right? I like
Yes.
broke up with my best friend. And on top of that, I had to leave the apartment that I had lived in for 9 years. And I literally, with my little Capricorn stellium, would check every single day. I'd be like, my move out day is June 1st, right? And they're like, that's correct. And then they're like, just kidding, it's May, like like a month before. And I was like, no. And so I'm pretty sure that stress is also what like caused the iritis.
Yes.
But I basically just like wilted and
Mm.
what just turned into a little heap of ashes on the floor. And so in that time, I was like bedridden for like 6 weeks. I had to get sick leave from my waitressing job. It was just so bad. And so in that time, of course, me being me, I was like, I'm going to write a book. I'm like, they can never stop me.
That's like
Capstellium.
everyone. That
Yeah.
was when the pandemic first started.
Yeah.
We were like, we're gonna rent a house in Palm Springs and write our book.
Exactly.
And we're like, nope.
We got there and 3 days later, we're like, let's hit the road.
Literally internalized capitalism with a capital I.
Big facts.
Mhm.
And so I was like, yes, I'll be productive. Don't worry, machine. I'm still a cog.
Yes.
So I like wrote this book, which was a culmination of every lesson I've ever learned in love and dating. And I feel like I had such a fixation on this because I was like single my entire life until college. Like no guys liked me. I was asked out as a joke. And so I was like fascinated by like what it would be like to have a boyfriend and fascinated by what
Mm.
it would be like to date. And then by the time I wrote this book at 29, I had a lot of experience dating because I was so interested in it. But I went through this time period of being single for 3.5 years, I think from 26 to 29 and a half before I met my now husband.
Lindsay's like, hold my beer.
Mhm.
7 years, baby.
Let's talk.
Yeah, literally.
Let's talk about
She's
it.
like, have you done 7?
What are you drinking?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, basically in that Saturn return, I wrote this book and I like got back out into the dating world and used it to like meet my husband now. And it's been absolutely insane. And I feel like Saturn returns are just karmically, cosmically realigning us with exactly where we need to go. But in the moment, it is not fun.
Yeah, it's like it's a total upheaval of what needs to be looked at and whether it is discerning whether it's not for you anymore, like a best friend breakup, or just looked at more closely so you can better integrate it, understand it. Yeah, it can be a total shit show. And I think I'm so glad we're having this conversation and continue to have these conversations because I feel like people are finding themselves in this season and feeling so out of control.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners are in their Saturn return or they're going through it. And we've had so many episodes about the Saturn return. So there's so much content that we can share with you about the transition. But what I think is interesting about yours is that call to do readings and to be more in touch with your intuition and connect with angels because so many people are going through their Saturn return or these transitions and they're waking up to their intuition or their gifts. So, how did you go through that process and how did you have the courage to do what you did?
Yeah. I it was almost like an act of manic craziness, like, in the moment, I was so scared to tell people what I was doing and to put it out there, being like, "Taylor's doing angel readings now? Like, what? That's so confusing," to the people who hadn't seen me in a long time, but I just felt like I had no other choice. It was so strange, but at the time, I was an actress and a comedy writer, and I just knew that I was telling myself the same stories over and over again of who I was, but it wasn't really me anymore. And it was like death by a thousand paper cuts trying to keep going down that path. Like every day it was a rejection of what my higher self was telling me.
Mm.
And so finally I just was literally minding my own business, doing something on my laptop. And again, I got that download that was like, sell your couch, sell your tables, sell
Mm.
everything. You don't need a lamp. What you need is some meditation cushions and a tapestry and the cards. And so I was like, okay, like what do I have to lose, dude?
Mhm. Wow.
Like this path isn't moving forward. I'm not lit up. Like, let's do it. And so I had very supportive friends and family. My mom was very, very spiritual. My cousin gifted me this deck when I was like 17 or 18. And so I had some experience with cards, and my readings were always so just, I don't know, they just felt so right and so plugged in. And it lit me up so much when I did it. But I mean, Instagram and everything back then wasn't even as big as it is now with the spiritual world, with like people. I didn't realize this could be my job. And so I basically my angels like shared with me steps by step what to do. And so it started out with my friends and I took a cabin trip up to Big Bear, and I gave all of them readings in front of each other back to back. We put on the Game of Thrones soundtrack, we lit a fire, I gave all of them readings in front of each other. And then from there, I said, go ahead, tell your friends, tell anyone. And I said, for a year, I'm doing free readings for as many people as I can. And it was the scariest moment, but I put on Facebook, I was like, I'm doing free angel readings for this year. And anybody who wants one, like, come to me. And I said, you can tell your friends too. But since I was doing them in person at my house, I only did it off from friends of friends, you know?
Mhm.
So I read for a year for as many people. It got insane. Like, word spread, and all these people were coming to me. And then I feel like it's no coincidence that the restaurant where I worked was also, everyone was randomly like so spiritual. They all came to me for readings. Like, I loved all of my coworkers. Whenever we'd take 30-minute breaks together, I'd do their birth chart for them. And so it was just like so supportive. And I feel like if it wasn't that supportive, I don't know if I would be here today, because it was already like fighting a mini battle with myself
Mm.
before every reading, being like, what if nothing comes through? What if they hate it? What if you don't lead them down the right path? And I realized, like, the reading itself was so awesome, and the everything that led up to it was so exhausting. And so that's like the path of a reader and intuitive, I feel, is to heal that inner villain inside that just tries to scare you. But yeah, so that was the path. I just practiced and practiced until I felt confident charging $30 for 30 minutes. And then I did that for like another year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
How did you first connect with your angels?
So it's interesting, but I had a very messy relationship with my intuition when I was younger. I was terrified because I would see like ghosts at night. I would feel things. I had sleep paralysis when I was a
Mhm.
kid. I would see
Mhm.
shadows around me. And so I was absolutely terrified. And I feel like so many intuitive people experience something similar. And it's almost this like special sauce ingredient to like stepping into your power, is having to like go through that shadowy, scary moment to be like, no, I'm owning this part of
Mm.
myself. Like, you don't get to control this anymore. And so I was very shut off for a really long time because of that early experience with it. And so when I was 25, I hit rock bottom, and I basically was like, seeing ghosts in my house. Things were rattling. I was attracting just all this fearful,
Mm.
kind of heavy energy to myself
Yeah.
because that's what I was putting out. And basically, I put a call out there to the universe. I was like, I need help, like, someone help.
Mm.
And within the week, like, 3 psychics found me, I swear. And so one of them was this lady named Gail, and she came to my house and she was like,
That's a perfect psychic name.
I know,
I'm in.
right?
Gail, take my
Gail.
money.
I
Say
was
no
like,
more.
Gail, I trust you. I'll open up my deep subconscious to
Yes,
you.
yes.
So she came over and she was like, okay, it's time to invite your angels back in. And I was like, yes. And so at first, I thought she was just going to come and clear the spirits out of my house. And I was like, okay, bye. That's all I need. But then she's like leading me through meditations, and I was opening up, and I saw that one of the spirits was my grandpa. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought my grandpa had like brown hair, but then it turned out he had black hair. And I actually saw that. And all the photos of him were black and white, and like all of this cool stuff. And so basically she told me to invite my angels in, and I started sobbing.
Mhm.
And I realized that it wasn't even me crying. It was like their tears almost through me at being invited back in. And I realized that by shutting out all of those quote unquote scary bad things, I was also shutting out all of the benevolent forces that are here to guide us and help us as well. And so that was the reignition of my relationship with my angels. But then when I went back to my childhood room and did an angel reading in it for someone, my angels were like, we've been in here with you before. Like, we've always been with you. You just haven't been with us.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that's huge for people because I had a similar experience of shutting off my gifts, being very young because I was seeing things and I was feeling things, and it was very dark and scary, and you don't know what's going on. And it's actually very interesting about your left eye because I wore a patch when I was very little for a few years, and I had like a weaker left eye. I had issues with my left eye. And I
Hmm.
read this book and I'll never forget it, but I also did forget it. It talks about the spirituality of your left eye. And there's
Whoa.
actually like a
Mm.
spiritually intuitive connective piece from your third eye to your left eye. And it's like a place where gifts often are. And when the left eye has like an issue or problem or is weaker, that has to do with like a shutting off of your gifts.
Wow.
So I think when we think about that for people, that can lead to that. But getting your confidence back and really reclaiming your power and your divinity and your sovereignty is very important. And I think what's interesting about that journey to reclaiming your power on this plane is that you acknowledge that what you saw and the darkness and the shadow is true. But then you also are acknowledging the other side, that the light and the beauty and the angelic presences are also true. And that
Yeah.
you're claiming your space in between those. And I
Yeah.
think that's what part of it was interesting for me, is like I have to acknowledge both.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a denial of one is just going to weaken you because they both exist. That duality exists. And oftentimes, a lot of the shadow stuff is misunderstood and a lot of the light stuff is glorified.
Mm.
And so we have to run everything through the barometer of our heart space truly. And like our power lies in the shadow. There was a moment at the very end when not the very end, that's dramatic, but at the end of the time period before Gail came and helped me like
Mm.
wake up again, where there was this spirit of a really heavy man that would sit in my computer chair at night and it would creak and it would swivel every night. And it was like torturous to me. And then I heard this rattling in my coat closet. And finally, I got up out of bed and I locked myself in the coat closet in the dark, like Sixth Sense style.
Your
No
eyes roll in the back of your head. You're like, let's go,
way.
bitch. You
And
like
I
start scaring them. You like flip the chair around.
exactly. I'm like, I literally said this. I said, the scariest thing in this apartment right now is me.
I fucking love
I
that.
swear. I was like so at my wits' end. I was sleep deprived. I was waking up every night. I
Wow.
said, the scariest thing in here is me. And I let myself be in the darkness and I never experienced that again. The rattling stopped. Everything stopped. I completely own my power.
I just got chills. You have
Wow.
to do that. When in my old apartment, there was an energy, and I had to work with Shaman Durek. I was working with all these people. When we got the apartment, I was like blank. I was like,
Mm.
I had no energy, no feeling. I was not excited. And then we were moving in and I was unwell. I was like, oh,
Oh,
I'm unwell
chills.
at this move in. And I told Justin, I was like, hey, there's something up with our apartment. He's like, God, now we're moving. Now we got shit in our apartment. And he's like so scared. He's like,
You're
God.
like, you're gonna have to piss in a glass
We did.
thing
That was one of the
container.
things. They were like, pee in a jar and throw it outside to mark your territory. So we did that. But among
Wow.
other things, I remember one night, it was like after we had done a bunch of things, I was sleeping and the fucking thing came up to me, walked to the side of the bed, right
Oh.
next to me on the side of the bed. And I was like, no, bitch. And it was like
Yes.
just super big. I was like, no, this is my space.
Exactly.
Completely went away. And it was like the night I got my power back with that.
It's
Mm.
so powerful. I swear it's like a rite of passage in
Yes.
some way to do this because we are physical beings on a physical plane.
Yes.
Do you know
We have
how
dominion.
Yes.
exactly it takes like them so much energy to be like, and we're literally out here not even
Yes.
thinking about moving my arms.
For
They're
people
moving.
for people listening, she just moved
Oh,
her
yeah.
like little dick like an inch.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, ooh, you flickered a light. Like I can go jump on a trampoline without even thinking about it. So I think that we have to like reform how we're looking at this. And like for the listeners out there, a tip that really helps if you're scared and you think there's a ghost or something negative around you, just start laughing. I swear, start laughing.
It like breaks the energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
it transmutes everything to
Mhm.
lightness. Like laughter is actually so holy. And I swear comedians are some of the most spiritual people because they transmute darkness to light. And you can so do that with laughter.
Yeah, I was actually just writing something in a newsletter, and that's like something that I've been doing around like any time I've been preoccupied with anyone else's thoughts,
Mm.
business, like opinions of me, whatever, is like trying to transmute it with a little bit of laughter. Cause like pulling
Yeah.
up and out of it, like most things are not that serious,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know, but like in the melodrama of our mind, they are. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's I feel like that's so powerful. And I really do when you said it's like a rite of passage, I feel like it's so simple and you did it in an instant and it
Mhm.
really didn't take that much to do it, but it
Yeah.
changed everything.
Yeah, and I think it's also such a metaphor for how the fear of something in our head is so
Yes,
much greater than doing it
exactly.
actually is. It's like I thought I was gonna go in there and they were gonna touch me and there would be
Mhm.
rattling and my eyes would roll back, like Krista said, but then I went in there and they left.
Mhm.
So it's like a confrontation of the shadow is the most
Mhm.
Yes.
powerful way to embrace the light.
You said
Yes.
your grandfather was in this space too. I guess what
Yeah.
did you learn about why he was there or if people are feeling their ancestors or people
Yeah.
that have passed recently?
So the reason that my grandpa was in there, I think he was a little trapped in there because I had an ex-boyfriend in that actual apartment who was very toxic and abusive
Mm.
in every way. And my grandpa, I swear, haunted him. I swear. Like we were in a fight and I was facing the fireplace with my arms crossed and he was laid on his stomach on the bed and he was like, "Hey, you just pulled my foot." I said, "I didn't touch your foot." And that's what my grandpa did when he was alive. He would like tug your ponytail, tug
No.
your foot. Like, so his papers would go missing. His laptop and stuff would be not charged because it was unplugged from the wall. Like, he messed with him. And I knew in my soul it was my grandpa. And I was like, "Da, ha, 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 ha."
Wow.
And so I think
You're
that
like, "Ghost activate."
exactly. I was like, ancestors. So yeah, I think that it was kind of residual energy from
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
I love the point of when you said for people that are intuitive, if they have gifts, whether they want to do readings or not, or whether they just want to connect more deeply with their guides or ancestors. You talked about that inner villain, like being
Yeah.
really the point that was keeping you from doing readings or connecting fully. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and I think the inner villain really speaks to what Lindsay was saying about like bringing lightness to
Mhm.
everything. We're like out here in like a Dickens novel, like toiling
Mhm.
away, but like life can really be so funny, you know?
Mhm.
And so with the inner villain, that's the concept where we take this voice of our ego, which I really believe is perfectly designed to be our biggest coach and teacher
Mhm.
in this life. I think every part of us is perfectly designed. And I nicknamed it the inner villain because if you talk in like a Dr. Evil voice and say out loud what it's saying, it's just so ridiculous. But in your head, you're like, yep, I am never going to find love. I am not worthy. I am alone. But if you're like, yeah, I'm not good enough in like a Dr. Evil voice, it's like hilarious, like the fire the missile voice.
Yeah, fire the missile.
Yeah.
Yes.
Powerful. I'm curious, as you got to know your own intuition, what that feels like, the practices, what stuck for you as far as the everyday tending to? Because I
Yeah.
feel like it's very specific for people what works and what doesn't, but how did you find your practices to tend to your gifts?
Yeah. So I think a daily meditation practice was something that I was so resistant to, but has been one of the most helpful. What I've found is to find a routine that is flowy and fun and not militarized because I
Mhm.
feel like then it's not working and you're also not listening to what your intuition is asking. So for me, I find that with meditation, I love meditating for angel numbers, like setting the timer on my clock.
Mm.
I set the intention at the beginning of the meditation to connect with my angels. And I also have fun like holding different crystals and just, I don't know, making it fun and light and
Mm.
cheerful. And if I want to do it outside, I do it outside. If I want to do it in my reading room, I do it in my reading room. But that's like a core principle, as well as pulling a daily card pull for myself of what they want me to know for the day. That keeps me really connected. And also gratitude. I thank them when I wake up and I thank them when I go to sleep, my angels. And
Mm.
I feel like that keeps us really connected as well. And other than that, one of the biggest spiritual practices is listening to what your body is saying because
Mhm.
our bodies are our biggest divining tool. And I swear our angels send a lot of messages through our bodies because that's one of the main things that people can always tap into. So like, are
Yes.
you getting a headache around this
Mhm.
person? Does your stomach drop when you hear something? Our bodies are always communicating to us as well.
In Law of One, they talk a lot about ringing of the ears.
Mm,
And they talk about the right side is a positively oriented signal from like a positively oriented group. and ringing in the left ear is a negatively oriented signal from a negatively
Mm.
oriented group. So oftentimes the ringing in our ears is actually communication from angels or guides or the other side or something else. So often when I get in the left side, it's negatively oriented. I'm like, I do not consent.
I
I'm
know.
like, I do not consent. And I also think I personally think with the ringing, it's like pay attention.
Yeah.
Like if there's
Yes,
something going
yes.
on, you're like, where am I? What am I doing? Pay attention. But I think that's powerful about the body. Um, with your angels, you mentioned that finally invited them back, which
Mhm.
is really beautiful. So it's finally giving them the permission to be back in your life. From what you perceive, were they still there? They just weren't active engaging with you? Or what exactly do you think happened when they were in the period between the invitation back?
So I believe people's angels are always with them, and every single person has angels, but it takes us actively raising our vibration to connect with them and to look for them, because they vibrate so high at unconditional love that if we're kind of like cynical and bitter and not trusting, it's really hard to like authentically be like, I feel you, angels, you know? And so I think for that chunk of time, I was so closed off and fearful. And fear is literally the inverse frequency to angelic messages. And so I think they were probably like, here are signs, here are signs. And I was like, I don't see anything. I'm not
Mhm.
Mm,
supported, you know?
Mhm.
And so I think in that time they were very close with me, but I shut down every message and everything and was just in a very dark place in
Mhm.
life. And I feel like this time period in your early 20s when you're just out of college is something that not a lot of people talk about, but it was like the darkest time period of my life.
Mhm.
I was so lost. And that's when I really hit a low. And I actually listened to your podcast,
Mhm.
which is so cool and full circle. And I remember like so many amazing guests, so many nuggets, but like as much as I knew it to be true, I couldn't feel it for myself in that time. Like I
Yeah.
would get triggered by like people who were happy and living their path. And I was like, oh, yeah, that must be cool for them. But like it
Mm.
really took me getting to a dark place to finally realize that I could also create a life like that, you
Mm.
know?
mhm.
Very relatable.
Yes,
Very, very relatable.
very much so. Yeah, the early 20s. I mean, the fact that yeah, we don't talk about it enough. I feel
Mhm.
like it is that limbo period of like
Yeah.
being fully supported in like a college sense or whatever you choose to do in your late teens, early 20s, but then when you're kind of like set free to figure things out, it's so disorienting. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
oftentimes just like you turn to numbing and ways in which you can fit in and
Mm.
be a part of what you think is either cool or acceptable. For me, it was like drinking too much, but
Mhm. I feel like
Totally.
7th and 8th grade were the worst years of my life.
Oh
oh, I
gosh.
relate
I
to that.
relate to that
Middle
too.
school.
I relate to that.
I relate to that
That's the
too.
club that I wanna
I also
start.
think there's a
Yeah.
hormonal thing that
Mm,
really adds to that, especially with
Oh, yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
We're
don't
just
know.
getting horny.
No,
I'm just kidding, but,
I'm
like
like, but yeah, but it's
yes.
like you're
Yes.
developing. There's kind of like different levels of development, and then
Yes.
there's like the comparison, and then there's
Yes.
kind of looking at boys or girls or whatever, and it's like it's a weird
It's so
thing.
weird.
You become aware
Yeah.
of the other more than ever.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
like your whole life.
Yeah.
And just the tribal mentality, whatever. It's
Yes.
those were my
Completely.
worst years. But yeah, being in that dark place and it really gives compassion for people that are in that phase. Hopefully they get out of it though, when they're like, oh man, they're really succeeding. And they're feeling that envy and jealousy. And it's hopefully having the awakening point where you're like, dang, that's because I need to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
I have to follow
Mhm.
my path. So why angels? Why did you decide to go specific the angel route? Because a lot of people do, they connect with the other side, and that's guides, family members, ascended masters, angels. Like, why
Yeah.
angels for you?
Yeah. I think just to go off what you just said,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be triggered so hard by people succeeding if it wasn't a message for us that we had more to embody in our lives. And I think as far as why angels, they felt so safe after such a tough journey
Mm.
with these intuitive gifts. I mean, I would get nightmares every night that would like come true. I was like, Mom, grandpa is going to die. And she was like, Don't even say that. And like 2 weeks later, he like passed
Wow.
away. Or I was like, had a nightmare where my grandma like hugged me and then she like faded away and she like, uh, I don't know if she died or she faded away. And then the next time I saw her, she had Alzheimer's and didn't know who I was. So it was kind
Oh,
like, it was always very
Mm.
scary stuff. I was, like, dreading it. So
yeah.
I was already so wounded by all of these experiences that I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody about. And so to me, I was like, angels are pure love. They honor my free will. They aren't predictive. They aren't telling us, like, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. They're saying, hey, let me help you co create your path of highest good. And just everything about angels felt so in alignment
Mhm.
with me.
What's the just for people to kind of understand, what is the difference between an archangel, a regular angel, a guide?
Yeah. So there's lots of different forms of angelic energy, just like
Mhm.
with any type of energy form. Archangels, as I understand them, are angels that are tasked with helping humanity for different kind of vibrations that they help people get to. With the
Mhm.
collective, they help individuals as well, but they're really tasked to help humanity and they vibrate at very specific levels. Whereas guardian angels and angelic guides are attuned to our higher self. They've always been with us and they're helping us on our soul's journey. And I, in readings, mostly work with people's angelic guides.
Mm.
Beautiful.
I wonder if that's too like a Catholic, because I wonder if that
Mhm.
relates back to religion, archangels as
It
well.
does. Yeah.
Mm.
And so I wonder, I think it's truth. There's a lot of truth in that, but I wonder too if that's been,
I wonder if like kind of just like God and
yeah,
Mhm.
like they were kind of then labeled as
yes,
this,
Yeah.
where they've always
yes.
existed. You know what I
Because it's
mean?
like, because what made me think of it is that the church makes everything a hierarchy. So
Mhm.
it's like, these are
Yes.
arc.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
These
yeah,
ones are
yeah.
exactly.
higher,
Yes,
where
These
they're
sit
like,
yes.
closer to God.
yes,
Yeah.
100%.
But what you said makes
A
sense, kind of
hundred
like
percent
almost
agree.
tasked for humanity as a
Yes.
Yeah.
whole.
Like
Yeah.
Gabriel,
Yes.
Exactly.
Michael, who would you name?
Raziel.
Metatron.
Yeah, Jophiel, Camuel, Uriel is a very close one with
What
me.
does Uriel do again?
Uriel is the archangel of enlightenment,
Cool.
basically. And I always call them they because I don't
Mhm,
believe angels have genders.
mhm.
Mhm.
But they are like, they have this sword and this scroll of answers, and they just help us shine the light on what we
Mm.
might have been missing. And they're just like, when I feel into Archangel Uriel's energy, it's so fiery in a cleansing way that
Mm.
feels so beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Raziel.
Yeah, there's Raziel. Zadkiel is a angelic archangel that I really love. They have this deep purple healing. I know how much you love deep purple because
I know we were
we were
we
talking
were
about.
talking shit about purple earlier.
I feel like
um,
it's gonna be the color of the year this
Yeah.
year.
but they're all about like healing and
Mm.
release, and they came to me so much while I was like in deep grieving last year. And so there's these different archangels, but I completely agree that there is no hierarchy. That's such a clear superimposing of human consciousness onto
Mhm.
something that we don't understand. And
Yeah.
it's like so human, you know?
Yes.
I
Yes.
think one thing you said about connecting with angels, that's so important with the purity and just understanding them is that they honor your free will.
Hmm.
And I think when we talk about how people can know that they're connecting with their angels or something that's interested in their sovereignty, free will is very important. So, can you talk a little bit more about that? If someone's wanting to connect to angels or guides, how can they know that they are?
Yeah. So the biggest way to tell that you're connecting with your angels is that their voice will never be fearful. So if you're running down the hill being like, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, remember how that thing happened, how bad that hurt you, this could happen again. It's like they're always going to be in the now. They're always going to honor your free will and it's always going to be loving. Even if it's difficult, it will be like, you can do this. Their voice is always in the second person. So if you're like, I got this, then you're probably speaking to yourself. But if it's like, you got this, like
Mhm.
that is them speaking to
Mm.
you. If you don't hear things clairaudiently like that, pay attention to like warm sensations in the face and body. I feel them holding my hands, my face gets warm. I feel tingling on the top of my head sometimes when I connect with them, or you just get hot when they come around sometimes. They will send you signs like angel numbers as well. Um, to me, angel numbers all have different meanings, like directly related to our subconscious and what message we need. But a common theme is if you're seeing a bunch of angel numbers, it's your angels being like, we're here, connect with
Mhm.
us, you're loved. And so, yeah, I think it will always be in the now. It will never be fearful. And the biggest way is that it's a loving message to know that it's from your angels. And anything less than that could be your own shadows, insecurities, fears, masquerading as premonitions and
Mhm.
intuitive downloads.
Starting your own business is a roller coaster. We know it. We've been through it. There's fear and excitement. There's overwhelm. You feel like you're, oh my God, I'm in over my head. But we have found that with the right tools from the get go, you can juggle it all with confidence. So, allow me to recommend a tool that we have used from the jump at Almost 30 and have helped us to organize, have helped us to streamline, have helped us to maintain really, really strong relationships with our partner, and that is HoneyBook. So they give you all the tools you need to manage inquiries, legal contracts, scheduling, payment processing, and everything it takes to serve your clients. In our case, partners and guests. And it's just taken all of the stress and closed all of the tabs in our mind and really put it within HoneyBook. So if you are an entrepreneur and you are struggling to get jobs booked and confirmations sent and invoices sent and paid and all of the things, HoneyBook gets your business running smoothly so you have more time to focus on what you do best. So there's no more bouncing from system to system. You stay organized, focused, and moving forward within HoneyBook. And plus, like, you'll get paid faster. I promise you. Your clients will pay you faster. It will be so streamlined. You're going to win, win, win. So start your free trial at honeybook.com/almost30 and enjoy HoneyBook for $1 a month for the first 6 months with promo code almost30. Do not miss this. Honeybook.com/almost30 and enjoy HoneyBook for $1 per month for the first 6 months with promo code almost30. Excited for you. Try it out. Every single day, whether I take it with cold water or I put it in my smoothie, I have athletic greens. This is a staple in my routine. It is a staple in what I am putting in my body, and for good reason. I'm sure you've heard about it, but AG1 by Athletic Greens is the category-leading superfood product. This brings a comprehensive, super convenient daily nutrition to everybody. So this is one single scoop. Let me tell you what's in one single scoop. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. It has 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food sourced ingredients, including a multivitamin, multi-mineral, probiotic, green superfood blend, and more in that one scoop, that one serving per day. All of their ingredients are of the best quality. They are obsessed with making sure it's high quality, bioavailable. I've trusted them for years. They've been a partner of the show for years and for good reason. We've heard from so many of you out there who have started using Athletic Greens in your routine, and it just changes everything. Your digestion, your skin, your energy. And this is in one scoop. I'm going to say it many times because sometimes we get overwhelmed with taking all the supplements, keeping it all straight. If you're someone who would want to get a comprehensive support within one scoop, vitamins, minerals, whole food supplements, this is for you. It's also great just to fill in nutritional gaps. I've recommended it to many people in my life who, I feel like are wanting to, really support themselves, support a healthy lifestyle to nourish their bodies, but don't know where to start. This is a great way to start. Plus, it sets the tone for everything else you do, really sets the tone for other healthy habits. So go to athleticgreens.com/almost30. Again, athleticgreens.com/almost30 to take control of your health. And with your purchase, you are going to get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Those travel packs I take with me everywhere. So with your purchase, you're going to get free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. Go to athleticgreens.com/almost30. How do you discern when you're connecting with an angel or another entity?
Yeah.
How do you
A
discern that?
demon.
A demon? Baby.
Is this an angel or a demon?
I think that that's why it's so important to set energetic laws and containers up top, because it's really
Mhm.
hard in the moment to be like, wait, is this an angel or is it just a super loving guide? Is this a past loved one? So I set an energetic law around myself that only angels, I include beings of the highest good as well. But if you want to make sure that you're just connecting with angels, they do have a very specific feeling that when you practice more and more, you're like, yeah, that's my angels. I recognize their energy. But if you're a beginner, I would say out loud, only angels are allowed in my space. And if you're not an angelic being of the highest good here to help me connect with my path of highest good, then you're not welcome here.
Mhm.
And just by asserting that power over there, beings of lower vibration, they'll go to someone who's scared and weak and
Mm.
afraid because they don't want to deal with someone who's in their power.
Mm.
Mm. Like the way you said that.
With free will, what would be, just so we can get super clear for people, what would be, how could people understand how they honor your free will? Like, what's an
Yeah.
example of how beings of light honor your free will and beings that are not of light don't?
So I the readings are less predictive, it's less like, "Yep, you're going to get this job, and then you're gonna stay there for 5 years, and then you're gonna retire at this
Mhm.
It's more like, "Hey, beloved, like, you can take this path, you can take that path, you could take this path, but no matter what, this is the frequency that will lead you to your highest good. Like, explore, enjoy, be
Mhm.
light." You
Yes.
know?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
honoring you as a sovereign being and honoring
Mhm.
your experience and honoring your power,
Mhm.
because we are so powerful. So something that is in support of you, even a friend, family member, therapist is never going to be like, you should do this.
Mhm.
They're going to honor that you have the power and you have the ability to make the right choices for you. So I
Mhm.
feel like that free will piece is so important. But it's interesting because sometimes you're like, come on.
I know.
Mhm.
You're like, tell me what to do.
I
Mhm.
know.
I know sometimes I'll ask and I'm like, okay. It's
Mhm.
just
I'm
like,
like, "Trust, got it."
yeah, literally. They're like, what's my purpose? Enjoy life. You're like, what?
Literally, I know. That's so how it is, though. It's like,
Hmm.
"What's my purpose?" It's like, to learn how beautiful you are.
Yes.
That's your
Mm.
purpose in this life,
Yes.
you
And it
know?
also keeps you, like, really present when it's if they were, like you said, predictive,
Mhm.
it would be living so much in the future, right?
Exactly.
Like, so
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
even just the trust piece keeps you
Yeah.
right
Predictive
here and now.
readings, I've had a lot and I've had really accurate ones and I've
Mhm.
had really inaccurate ones. They kind of fuck you up.
I agree.
They have
They
yes, they have
Do you know what I
potential.
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm, mhm.
It's really like, it can be
Well,
really
'cause
crazy.
it could inform the free will
Yes.
in a way
100%.
that is not as grounded
Yeah.
and in what you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people come to me who are scarred by predictive readings.
Hmm.
There are
Mm.
people who come to me that are so grateful that I'm not going to make predictions. But what I will do is say, hey, if you follow down this path, this is the likely outcome.
Hmm.
They will say
Mhm.
that. I'm like, if this keeps happening and you keep making these choices, I see it going this way.
Hmm.
But that always leaves room for making a new choice in each moment.
Hmm.
Mm. How did you work with your angels when you were dating? Because I know
Yeah.
we had this conversation before we hopped on, and I want to dig in just to how you can work with them when you're wanting to meet someone, wanting to call someone into your life.
Yeah. So basically using your intuition for finding love, I feel is like so underrated. I feel like for some reason we have this maybe as like women, this passive thing where we're just like, love will find me at the right time or something. But I like approached it as almost like an intuitive job. I was like, I like give myself a birthday reading each year. And that year, my angels told me, like, hey, if you apply yourself, like your soulmate's around this year. I was like, you got it. And that's the year I met my husband.
Wow.
And so I totally believe that when we give ourselves love life readings, it's one of the most energetically like complex types of readings, because not only is it honoring your free will, but also the other person's, and not only your baggage and shadows around love, but theirs. And so there's like so much there. But I find like women in everyone in dating often override our intuition. We're like, get so heartbroken and hurt when it doesn't work out, when we're like, I saw the signs, like I saw
Mhm.
yellow flowers and that meant that he liked me. You know what I mean? And so I feel like our intuition is always right in dating, but we physical attraction can disguise itself as intuition so much that we override. It's like, you got a little uncomfortable at something, or there was a red flag, or your body was telling you something, but we stuff it
Mhm.
down because the attraction is so intoxicating. And so I think that every person that you date, especially if you're using dating apps, I met my husband on Bumble. And I think that it's such a portal for magic to enter your life if you set the intention for that. It's really just neutral, but it's like such an opportunity to feel into the energy of each person that you're swiping on and seeing how they feel and seeing what comes up for you. And this is kind of a moral gray zone. So I would set the intention to see how they feel in your life, like coming back to yourself, not like messages about strangers that aren't asking for that. But yeah, so I think there's such room for feeling in, but the hardest part about it in love life is actually listening. When you get every single time I
Mhm.
pulled like the death card or something for somebody, I was like,
Mhm.
this probably means death of the old relationship so I can enjoy this one. Like you just kind of
Mhm.
spin the messages for what you want to
I always
hear.
just, like, reverse it back. I'm like, "We'll just
Yeah.
reverse it." Like, if I get a reverse, I'm like,
Exactly. I'm like, I don't work with reversals.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm like, "New motto, no reverse."
Exactly. And so I think like in dating and love life, there is such a need to actually listen to what comes up, but there's a
Mhm.
balance there of like not robbing yourself of the lesson and experiences that you need to get to authentically vibrate with the
Sh
lesson coming up.
Mhm.
Sure. Yeah, it's so interesting where there's this like energy of wanting, needing, clutching, clinging, desperation of like just wanting to be in a relationship. And
Yeah.
I think it adds to uh that feeling that you get, that attraction, that like physical attraction or whatever type of like lusty attraction becomes like what you've been kind of seeking in that
Yeah.
desperation,
Mhm.
but what your soul really seeks
Yeah.
is what is true, is real, and that's kind of what you're saying as far as following your intuition and really tapping into that rather
Mhm.
than just that, like, surface level.
Yeah, and I feel like from a place of like just desperately wanting to be loved is a tough
Mhm.
energy to intuitively connect and get
Yes,
accurate information
exactly.
anyway. So there's a whole energetic state to enter into this dating world with that will ensure better results, you
Mhm.
know?
When you were swiping, because I remember doing that towards the end where I could really I could I didn't know I was doing it, but I was, like, reading people as
Yeah.
I was swiping, and I would say yes to normally guys that I wouldn't in the
Yeah.
past, and but I was
I
like,
just remember that the one time we did that, we were messaging the guy on that one app in Palm Springs. We sent him,
"Oh,
like, the knives or something.
remind me."
I'll tell you later,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we would have fun
Yeah, we would
anyways.
have fun. We would fuck it up. Um, but yeah, I just remember doing that intuitively because I got to that place of using it as this neutral tool, which I think is so important. So how
Yeah.
can people just to like
Mhm.
peel back one on that neutral tool piece, how can
Yeah.
people practice that when they're swiping?
Yeah. So I think, like any intuitive tool, our intentions are so important when using it. And I feel like with dating apps in particular, it's so easy to project our fantasy of who we want the person to be on, superimpose it on who they really are. And then we see them in real life. We're like, oh, wait, you don't look like that. But it's so weird. Like I saw myself doing that when I was on the apps, like creating these
Yes.
people instead of really looking at what was in front. And there is this certain level of brutal honesty and willingness to look at the reality to get the intuitive messages. So I think that if you're using dating apps and mixing it with your intuition, there is a sense of going into it not needing anything
Mhm.
because from that place you can actually see what's in front of you, and that's so much easier said than done, and I totally understand that. But I think when you're really like happy in your own life and filling your own cup up, it's easier to do that. And from there, you just kind of sit with like their name, their face, their energy. And you can ask out loud, like, angels, what do you want me to know about how this person would fit in my life romantically? And how do you feel? Do you hear anything? You can pull a card. You can really just give space to each
Mm.
one instead of maybe going fast and just going off of basic, like, no, don't like this, don't like that. Just like kind of sitting with the essence of this person might get you a deeper soul connection.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. you have to look at the reality to hear the messages.
Mhm.
That is so
Mhm.
profound because it's so true. And I've never thought about it in that way and how social media or an app sort of prevents us from actually looking at a reality. So it's so hard for people to get messages.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I feel like so much of our community do have a hard time consistently staying connected to their intuition and how social and digital and all of that can really hurt that because you're often not looking at the reality.
Yeah, and it goes back to how I locked myself in the closet with those
Yes.
scary presences. Like, you have to be able to dive deep into the shadows and the shame and the ugly. And if you can't look at all of that in yourself, how can you see it in someone else?
Mhm.
There needs to be this willingness, especially as people who are intuitives or readers, to look at everything almost clinically,
Mhm.
is just taking it for what it is instead of projecting a fantasy onto it or wishing it away.
Mhm.
And that's truly what will be able to open you up to receive accurate information.
Mhm. Yeah, allowing any possibility to come up. So, when you're working with people's angelic guides or their guides and readings, do you see what they look like? Like, what is sort of the visual? Like, do you get an energetic imprint? Do you find that they're culturally fitting the people who
Mhm.
they're with? Like, that they are, what are you sort of seeing
Yeah.
oftentimes?
So I'm extremely clairsentient and
Mhm.
very empathetic. That's my main clair. So I'll feel them. I'll be like, oh, they feel like funny or like trickstery. Or like Krista, in your case, I'll be like, they feel ancient and powerful and like they're not messing
Yeah,
around.
badass.
Yeah,
She's like,
badass.
they're vamp energy. She's like, they're all like this. I've
But
had people say that. They're like, they
yeah.
actually didn't let me get in anywhere.
Yeah,
Mm.
but the funny thing about yours is I actually did see like a council, like
Mhm.
all sitting like in a line, and it
12.
was like
Mm.
important for them to be like equal with each other, like
Mhm.
none in front of the other. They were all like in this equal line. But yeah, it's always different. Sometimes I see colors around people, sometimes I like feel like freezing and I see like snow and I'm like, you have like snowy angels. Like, I don't know where you're from, but I'm cold. Like, it's just always different. And
Wow.
I've done thousands of readings and I've never met someone whose angels were the same. It's so
Wow.
cool. Yeah.
Do you find that their energetics, and this is what I'm perceiving and what I've perceived over time, that the energetic signature, like the essence of the person, is often exemplified in the angelic
1
vision?
million
Yeah.
percent. They're
Mm.
the essence of our higher self.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's our angels are attuned to our higher self's frequency. And that's how they can give us messages for our highest good because that's where they operate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can we bring in or can we communicate or ask our angels to communicate with someone else's angels?
Mhm.
Like, how can we kind of create that
Yeah.
conversation?
This is something that I wished so many times in my life. I'm like, please, like,
I do
wake
it
them
all.
up.
I try all the time.
Yeah. And so, again, that free will component comes in. We
Mhm.
can say it. The angels can even relay it. They can send signs, but unless that person is in a place energetically where they
Trust.
are ready to
Yeah.
receive, it means nothing.
Yeah.
The angels are like, "I love them the way they are. Why
Yeah.
don't
You
you?"
should too.
Yeah, they're like, "Why don't you mind your own business?"
Exactly.
But that kind of stuff's so funny. It's like, because
Yeah.
we all do it.
Of
We all do
course.
it, but it's such a funny concept because your angels are like, "You've got enough on your plate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got enough to do."
Worry about you.
Yeah, we're worried about you. Bring it on back. Bring it on back. So what is actually happening in an angel reading? Like, how would you explain what is happening?
Yeah. So basically, it's a time where you and I together are co creating. I don't look at myself as the person who's just giving the reading. I look at the three pieces of the puzzle being me, you, and your angels. And it takes all of those energies for the magic to happen, if you will. And so it's important to come into a reading from an open place because if you're kind of blocked, if you don't believe in it, it's like we'll still get you messages, but it takes so much work for me than if you were just more open, you know?
Mhm.
So basically, it's me connecting with you, you connecting with your angels, and your angels connecting with me in this beautiful, holy moment where time stands still.
Mm.
Mm.
And do people ask questions, or are you kind of pulling in questions from their highest self, or how do
Yeah.
you particularly work in that way?
So, how I work is I don't want to say something that someone isn't ready to hear, even though I'm
Mm.
sure their angels wouldn't send it through. There's a lot of like ambiguous things to this
Mhm.
thought structure, but I like it to be so powerful to for people to ask their questions.
Mhm.
So, I have them set an intention at the beginning of the session. And sometimes that's an invitation to get, and I don't hear their intention. But for example, one lady's questions were nothing about fertility, but that was her intention at the top of the reading. And I saw this baby girl floating around her. And so she was like, oh my gosh, that was my intention. But I think there is a certain thing with angels where they want to be asked the question to give the
Mhm.
answer because that is how the free will component works. So in a session with me, I like you to come with clear questions that I can then zone in on and really focus on because as an intuitive, it's so much information at once to sort through that it just helps me to like laser in on what will help you the most in this
Mm.
session.
And how do you like what is your like post session personal hygiene, and what do you recommend for your clients as well?
Mm.
This is something that I need to constantly remind myself of because I have so much fire in my chart and I'm like, well, that's over. Bye, next thing.
Yes. You're
And
like,
I'm like, bye. I've like left my
You have like
candle on.
cords just
yeah.
coming on. You're like,
Exactly. And so
yeah.
after the session, I've basically created an energetic law with my angels that I take a picture of their cards. And as soon as I text that over, the session is done.
Mm.
So people ask me, they're like, well, I still get like, do you get messages for me still? It's like, no, because we've broken that cord that we so intentionally created at the beginning of the session. So as soon as I text it, it's done. I blow out my candle, I thank my angels, and I go on my way.
Mhm.
But I feel like I should be doing more for
Mm.
spiritual hygiene, but that's just me. I'm on to
Yeah.
the next.
No,
But
I like that.
the law is
It's
good, the
clear.
energetic law.
Yeah.
It's
And then
clear.
in your another lifetime, you're gonna have to be like, I have to change that law.
No.
You know what I mean? You're like, this was good for this lifetime, and I have to go back.
Yeah.
Before I want to do a little reading for our community,
Yeah.
there are people that maybe want to turn their gifts, their intuition, their readings, their tarot, their astrology into a business. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
My advice is to practice, to just practice because that voice inside your head, especially if you have a strong witch wound or have been persecuted for this work in previous lifetimes, it's so loud. It's like, don't tell people what you know. Do not tell people what you know. And it just takes action
Mm.
to be like, shh. It goes back to that inner villain voice, like, don't tell people what you know. It's like so
Yes.
funny. But it seems so real when it's in your
Yeah.
head. And so, my advice to anyone out there who wants to make this a business is to create a mission statement for yourself that's from the highest good and release everything else to your angels or your guides or whoever you connect with. Because truly you'll be of service to the world how you're meant to be. And I never planned any of this for myself. But if you just set an intention, which mine was to connect as many people as possible to their angels, and I'm not connected up to what that looks like. If you find your intention and then make every choice from that place, there's no way you can go wrong.
Mm,
Hmm.
powerful. Shall we read?
Yes, let's do
Do
it.
it
And
all.
we were also talking before about the idea where you have to be gifted a deck.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually think that's false because then you're not using your own intuition to connect to the energy of the deck. You're taking the deck's energy and intention that someone else has and using it.
I agree. I think it's like such a form of witchy gatekeeping. Being like,
Yes.
I'm a third generation witch with a gifted deck. It's like, okay,
Yes.
cool. Well,
Totally.
good for you.
Yes.
So I think like when it comes to picking a deck, it's actually super important that you resonate with it, you
Yes.
vibe with it.
Mhm.
I always tell my students to set an intention before you look for decks to be like, this is the deck that my angels will specifically use to communicate with me.
Mhm.
And then I recommend running your like left hand over all of the decks and seeing which one like feels right to you
Mhm.
or which one the arch that calls to you. It's like that's so much more powerful than just being gifted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
All
Um,
right. So we got what kind of deck?
so this is the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms. It's very
Mhm.
frayed because I've been reading it with it for over a decade. But it's the Wisdom of the Hidden Realms by Colette Baron Reed, who I love.
Mm.
And yeah, so just as I was saying before, this reading isn't all on me. So if you both want to Take some deep breaths, focus on the light around you, shake off everything from the day. And if the listeners want to do the same, let's all set the intention that the message is for the highest good for this almost 30 community, and all who come into contact with this episode will get the messages that they need in this moment. And let's hold that in our heart space. Okay, so I pulled the Wise Woman of Wonderland upside down.
Wow.
And this is basically really interesting because what my angels are showing me is a deep excavation of the heart space. And it's really interesting because it feels like right now we're going through some time where some deep, deep wounding and things that we didn't want to look at, maybe even stuff from the past, is like coming up to be examined. And it feels like it's going to be a little uncomfortable. And it feels like there's almost this chaotic element of life spinning in circles and feeling a little out of control. And it feels like that is all of the device to expose some deep, deep healing and shadows that needed to come out, because there's some way that we aren't listening to our higher self, or we aren't standing in our integrity, or we're compromising who we are. And so our angels are showing me this bright star, and it feels like there's this hope, this rebuilding, this coming back to looking up, looking to the sky, looking to your guides, and remembering the big picture. And it feels like there's a deep, deep heart cleansing in this moment to help us get to a place with, without a shadow of a doubt, our heart is our GPS and our compass. And there's some clearing off of old wounds to help us really come back to our full light and power in this moment.
Very true.
Oh yeah. I saw like what are those things in the hospital where they separate the blood and the plasma?
Hmm. Oh, those like spinner things.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
that to kind of
I love that.
Wow.
bring you to
Yeah.
light.
I
Yeah.
saw a top spinning, but that's much better.
No, I like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting because yours is blood and then the one color, and a top has the two colors too, right?
Keep going.
Don't they split the blood from the blood's red, plasma's
Yeah, no,
white?
totally. No, but I think that
Don't
is
leave me out of the
so
vision.
true.
I want to see the vision. I
think
need to see the vision.
That's so true, though, thinking just about the heart being the GPS and just how, I mean, that is like more of the feminine if we're going to look at it that way. And I
Mm.
feel like our community is kind of dancing with that shift from being like so like
Yeah.
like having to be in that masculine and building and doing and
Yeah.
taking care of, and then it's like, oh,
Mhm.
like we've known all along, we just haven't allowed it or
Yeah.
been in that receptive.
I just feel like everything that's coming through eclipse season, through some chaos, through some feeling out of control, is like, this isn't, nothing about this is fearful. Your angels want you to know that this cleansing is like empowering, and it's getting you ready to step into everything that's meant for you.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
This was so much fun.
Mhm.
I
So
appreciate it.
fun. Thank you
So
for
wait, tell
having
us about
me.
the course you're doing.
Yes.
Yes. So I've in the summer, sometime early August, I'm releasing the Angelic Love and Dating workshop series, which is 3 parts. Week 1 is all about getting into the right energetic space to enter the dating world. Week 2 is all about dating and like energetic tips and tricks for that, to stay in a place of power and autonomy throughout such a process. Like, dating can be so disheartening and so difficult, but it truly is neutral. And then week 3 is all about divination with love life. So I'm super excited for all of that. And I would love to give your listeners a code as well.
Yes, almost 30.
Amazing.
Of course. Yes.
Almost 30, you guys.
Oh, they're gonna love this.
This will be in the show
Yeah,
notes.
we'll put in the show notes and all of that.
And then you can also
Awesome.
find your Instagram. Angels and Amethyst is your Instagram, right?
Yes. Angels and Amethyst is my Instagram. It's angels_and_amethyst. There are about 20 people pretending to be me at all times.
Oh, yeah, you always have it. I got my first one the other day.
Oh, you did?
I'll show you. It's called, their account is Bitcoin Sharon _.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it's pictures of me, and it's like hearts like, I love Bitcoin. And it's like, it's
Dude,
literally,
what is happening
Bitcoin
in that?
Sharon.
and it's called Bitcoin Sharon. And I kind of like it now. Like, I kind of want to be friends. And so I reported them to Instagram. Instagram's like, nope, sorry.
Exactly. They're like, we
Yeah.
don't see
The
anything wrong.
Bitcoin ones we get those comments
All the
sometimes.
time. What? Yeah, that's because, yeah,
Yeah, it's just kind of wackety,
real
wild.
whack.
So
But I was like,
wild.
finally,
Yeah.
everyone gets fakes.
I feel
Mhm.
like I have this obligation on everything I go on now. I say it because so many people are like, I thought you were giving me a reading and it wasn't you. And I'm
Oh,
like, no,
Wow.
this is a highly organized crime syndicate. There's a lot of fake
Yeah.
people. I never
Wow.
DM you for a reading. I never DM you
No one
asking for money.
that you should want to get a reading with will ever DM you first.
Nope, at all.
Period.
Absolutely. I
No
agree.
one. If anyone has ever DM me and says, I have a message, block.
Block.
Even if I know
100%.
them. Blocky block. There was
Block.
this
I got a
one-
piece of your mail. Can I?
Literally, they're like,
Block.
hey, I'm outside. Block. I did have this person that I knew from a while ago text me and they're like, hey, I saw this this message. Block.
Blocked.
Nope, you
Yeah,
didn't see
no.
that for me.
Mhm.
It's so
It's weird.
violating.
That
it's
is
like,
violating.
how dare you?
I don't like
How
that.
dare you?
Yeah,
I don't like that.
Yeah.
that's our solution. Block, block.
You should be in like a sacred,
A container,
intentional
yeah.
moment
Free
and
will.
container.
I
Free
should
will.
choose.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not an angelic frequency for people who
Mhm.
are just popping into your life without your free will. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
This was so much fun. And then our members, our amazing community members, got a workshop with you, which was a blast.
Yes.
Got to
So
connect
fun.
with you and our angels in community, which was amazing. So thank you so much for coming. Angels underscore and amethyst. Angels underscore and underscore amethyst. And then
Yes.
we're excited to share that program as well.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
So much fun.
Amazing. All right. Bye, guys. We
Bye.
love you.
Everyone.
Thank you so much, Taylor Paige of Angels and Amethyst, for a beautiful conversation and interview. Again, you can find her on Instagram at angels underscore and underscore amethyst.
And thank you to our incredible sponsors for this episode, bringing you brands we love and we use ourselves. We consider ourselves master vetters. Thank you to Honeybook, Sakara, and Waldo. For all discount information, you can go to our show notes or almost30.com. Make sure to check out almost30.com. We have information on our membership, which is just kind of that next step with Krista and I, where we really get to be super intimate with you every single month in workshops and live hangs and creating content just for you.
Yeah, we also did a little zhuzh to the website.
Yes.
So you can check out our new updated zhuzhed website. It looks so beautiful. And then we're on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube to watch us on video, watch all of our amazing guests on Instagram, Almost 30 Podcasts. We're also zhuzhing up the Instagram. We also on
Yes,
TikTok.
honey.
TikTok is happening.
We're on TikTok.
We're on, it's not us posting, but we're on TikTok. So we'll see you on there. We'll see you on the next one. We love you.
Bye.